Well, kia ora and welcome into the Harness Half Hour, now proudly brought to you by Airpark Canterbury and HRNZ Marketing. I'm Jess Smith, and this week on the show, we chat to Brad Williamson following his big weekend with Get Lucky, winning twice with him in the sulky. Steve Phillips is with us, also to chat about qualifying 2 mares for the 4-year-old diamond at the IRT Harness Jewels, and also the current New Zealand Amateur Driving Championship, which is underway. And Greg Hayes calls in from Australia to discuss the IRT Harness Jewels and the Australian team for 2019. And as usual, Richard Wilson is with us from the bookies desk. But first, here are the headlines for this week. We start off with the Addington Premier Night wrap and quickly through the winners. Princess Tiffany returned to winning form, taking out the New Zealand Oaks in fine fashion. The 2-year-old Sires Stakes final went to one change. Amazing Dream was successful in the PGG Sales 2-year-old fillies final. The Sales Series 3-year-old Trot was won by Get Lucky, who of course went on to win again at Oamaru on Sunday. And the Group 2 Sires Stakes 2-year-old Trot was won by Tailored Elegance. And the Garrod Sires Stakes Sophomore Classic was taken out by Grand Chico. So congratulations to the connections of all of those horses winning the features on Premier Night at Addington. While at Auckland on Friday night, Tickle Me Pink was in the winner's circle again, this time winning the Northern Trotting Oaks. Well, of course, all eyes were focused on every single centre horse was earning over the past week or so as we crunched down to the final field or the final nominations for the IRT Harness Jewels. And one horse who was able to dip into the money twice over the weekend was Get Lucky, who was a winner at Addington and then also again at Oamaru, and successful driver Brad Williamson joins me. Brad, a bit of a crazy weekend, I'd imagine, for you in the sulky.
Yeah, it has been, Jess. We've been up and down the country as usual, but this time lucky enough to get some quite good results over the weekend.
Yeah, and were you expecting Get Lucky to be in a position to potentially win 2 races over the weekend?
Potentially, Jess, but things don't always go to plan, as you know, in racing. It's very difficult to win 1 race, let alone 2. So, obviously he was in with a good chance in both races, but winning's another thing, and the way it all worked out was just fabulous.
Yeah, and nice to get the win for Alistair Black too.
What's that? Sorry.
Nice to get the win for Alistair.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, Alistair's been a big supporter of mine, and he has me on as all of his stables runners, or 90% of them anyway. So, they've had a lot of faith in me and his owners. The Thompson boys, Ian and Lindsay. I'd just like to thank all 3 of them as a team for getting me as a driver, and it's good to be able to pay them back with a couple of nice wins.
Yeah, definitely, and especially to get those wins, on Premier Night at Addington would be pretty special too.
Exactly, yes, yeah, coming from Southland, it's hard to win at Addington, let alone Premier Nights, and then to win twice, and Vintage Saturday bred as well, so it was a huge effort.
Oh, fantastic. And of course now, Brad, the attention will turn to the Harness Jewels. And do you feel a bit of pressure? Do your brothers give you a bit of stick around the fact that they've got some Harness Jewels mantelpiece, trophies, and you're still waiting to get that first one?
Not really, Jess. No, there's never any real stick about that sort of thing. But obviously, it's something that they've got that I haven't. So, it'd be lovely to be able to get a Group 1 on the mantelpiece.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And the way Majestic Man and your partnership with Majestic Man's been going, of course, barrier draws are going to mean a lot leading into the Jewels, but you must be pretty confident, going into a race with a horse like him.
Absolutely, yeah. He's one of the leading chances in his section, so obviously barrier draws do play a big part, but you sort of couldn't fault his form the way he's going, and the horse is just getting better and better all the time. So, we're very confident with him, that's for sure. Yeah.
And in all seriousness, winning a Harness Jewels race, Brad, what would it mean to you in your career?
Obviously it'd be a highlight, Jess. I haven't got a Group 1 to my name yet, so that's what sort of I think all drivers strive for, is to try and win at the big level. I haven't done that yet, so it's something that I can sort of tick off if it does happen, trying to get that Group 1 win.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, and it will be well deserved. It won't be too far away, I'm sure. And Brad, in terms of training, you've had a great run in just 1 and a bit seasons so far, already 20 training successes. You must be thrilled with that.
Yeah, absolutely, Jess. Yeah, just got a small stable at the moment and hoping to build up some more numbers in the future, and been quite lucky to obtain Cracker Hill so early in my career. He's a really nice two-year-old trotter, and he's sort of spearheading my stable at the moment, and he goes into the Jewels with a wee chance as well. Yeah. So I couldn't be happy with the start that I've had.
Yeah, and I understand you've got some vacancies too, Brad, so if anyone's looking maybe for a change of scenery or they're wanting some pre-training done, you've got some spaces at the moment.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, yeah. No, I've only got as I say, I've got some small numbers at the moment, but hoping to build on the team. Training a high number of horses is what I want to do. It's where I sort of see things going. So hopefully, we can start to obtain some more horses and young horses and try and get them into nice races like we've been able to do at Cracker Hill.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And are you open to pacers and trotters, Brad?
Yeah, that's right, Jess. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. So get in contact with Brad if you're looking for either a new trainer or some pre-training to be done. Brad, thank you so much for your time. I know you're flat tack at the moment, but congratulations on a stellar weekend and all the best going into the Jewels this year.
Thanks, Jess.
Time for social media news now from around the world, starting off with New Zealand. The feature race winners from the Premier meeting on Friday night at Addington, they're all on the HRNZ Facebook page, along with Todd McFarlane and his team after they won the Stable Shout this month. You can check out what they had for their morning tea on our HRNZ Facebook page. From Australia, former Lincoln Farms pacer Northview Hustler made a good impression, winning his Australian debut on Saturday night. For more around that, you can check out Adam Hamilton's Aussie News, and also don't forget to follow Adam on Twitter. And from the US and Canada, the founder of harness racing games Catch Driver and Often Pacing, Ryan Clements, features on Standardbred Canada's website with his brand new project, Bright Future Harness Racing. Fascinating article. Of course, some of you may have heard Ryan's interview here when he was with Anthony McDonald in September, but make sure you check that out. You can head to the Standardbred Canada Facebook page for more info. Well, it's a pleasure to welcome onto the Harness Half Hour this week the godfather of amateur driving, as he's become known, Steve Phillips. Steve, thank you so much for your time. And first and foremost, before we chat amateur drivers champs, congratulations. You've got Bakiro in the shadows now in the Harness Jewels for the 4-year-old Diamond.
Yeah, we're thrilled about that. It was a touch and go within the shadows because we watched Feel the Money get beaten ahead, and if Feel the Money had won on Sunday, we would have been first emergency. Oh. So we feel for those owners, but we were pretty excited that it only got second.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a thrilling part of the season, isn't it, when it literally comes down to winning or running second to get into those races. But I find the journey with these two horses fascinating, Steve, because, of course, you and your wife Anne bred them both, but you've kindly offered them up for syndicates to have the fun and enjoyment with as well, with Anna Donnelly.
That's right, yeah. A couple of years ago, we had these horses with Anna, and she had educated them after her dad had broken them in. And Anna, in a discussion with her, thought, why don't we try and get some people in with you if you're happy? And we were delighted. So we did Bakiro first, and she filled in about a couple of days, and so we did In the Shadows straight away and filled that as well. So we've kept 25% of the racing syndicate, and 75% is held by lots of people, which is great.
Yeah, and I'd imagine through the experience, I know there's a lot of people who are first-time owners and some that have been involved for a long time, but you must have made some really nice friendships over those years.
We have, and that's part of the fun, isn't it, of being in a syndicate with lots of new people and old faces that you've met before. But it's just a thrill to watch the race with them, and when they win, go into the winner's circle and the winner's bar and celebrate with a whole group of enthusiasts. It's wonderful. You've
had some wonderful racehorses over the years with Anne, Steve. What would it mean to you? Well, you've got two horses in the Jewels, so that's an amazing achievement in itself, but what would it mean to you both should you be able to win a Jewels event?
Oh, it would be huge. We ended up with a horse called Wind in Her Hair, who's a half-sister to In the Shadows, running second in the Jewels a few years ago. and that was a buzz itself. We just wondered, that was great. So to win it would be fantastic.
Is there going to be a large contingent of the syndicates down at Addington for the 1st of June?
I think there will be quite a number down there. They're all pretty excited about the prospect of racing on such a big day. And last I heard, there's going to be good representation.
Good. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll hear you before we see you, should you guys be successful, that's for sure. And of course, most people in harness racing, Steve, would know you through the amateur driving ranks. And of course, this week we've got the continuation of the New Zealand Champ Series. Can you tell us, how long roughly has this series been going, and how do people qualify to compete in this?
Well, when we started amateur driving, we were running just in non-tote races to start with, and after a few years, a few people were thinking, well, we might as well get our graduation licence, so we decided we'd try to run some amateur tote races, and they were quite successful. And about that time, so it's probably about 9 years ago, we introduced a championship for those tote race drivers so that they could have a New Zealand final races at the end of the season. So the way it works is that the top 6 drivers on points through the tote races in the Canterbury area qualify, and the top 6 drivers on points in the Auckland Waikato area qualify. And so those 12 people are the ones that are competing Friday night at Addington and Sunday at Rangiora, and had a couple of races at Cambridge on last Thursday. And
it was good to see the support at Cambridge too, Steve, with the amount of nominations getting 2 races off the ground.
It was, yeah. We were delighted because we have struggled up here getting 2 fields in the past, and there are a few drivers that missed out, but it was great to get most of them out on the track, and all the South Island drivers got drives, which is good. Yeah.
And I know that this has been a real passion project for you over the years, for you and of course amateur driving, and it's really shown its worth, hasn't it, in terms of the amount of horses that the amateur drivers own and keep in work, and keeping the horse population up.
Well, it is, and I think it's often overlooked by some of the industry participants that the amateurs do contribute a lot financially, and horse numbers, and just their passion. There are a lot of horses that would not be in training if it weren't for the amateurs keeping them going. And it's not just the amateur races that the horses race in, like clubs like Auckland and Cambridge up here certainly get the support of a lot of the amateur type people with horses in races other than the amateur races. Yeah. I'm sure it's the same in Canterbury as well.
Yeah, and it seems like a really nice, tight-knit community. Everyone seems to support each other and enjoy the social side of it.
We do, yeah, that's a good part of it too. And it was good to host the 6 South Island reps at Cambridge last Thursday, and we got up into the member stand, had a meal and a few drinks, and swapped stories about how unlucky we'd been in the races, or all those sort of things.
Yeah, the one that got away, always.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, and so in the past, of course, the winner of the series, or when it does fit in with the World Champs, they can go and represent New Zealand. So that's a really a big carrot to dangle, I guess, in front of these drivers as well, the opportunity to represent their country.
It is, and I think the next World Champs are next year. So the winner of this competition, depending on the timing of when the World Champs are, will actually get the opportunity to represent New Zealand. The Champs are usually in the European summer, so the next year's competition will be next year's competition will be too close to the World Champs. Last year, Cherie Wigg represented New Zealand, and she had a wonderful time over in Europe, and I'm sure whoever wins this one will do the same.
Yeah, and of course, we've had great success, haven't we, the New Zealanders?
We have, yeah. Gavin Cook was the first New Zealander to win a World Champs, and that was just great, fantastic result. And of course, Gavin's been a stalwart of amateur driving in Canterbury, and you need that team around everybody to make it work, and it was wonderful to listen in on those races when he was driving over there at that time, and I just couldn't believe that he'd become a world champ, which is just great.
Which is awesome. And of course, looking at the nominations for this week at Addington and Rangiora, looking like good support there too. So Steve, I know you're competing in this series, so all the best of luck to you. And of course on Harness Jewels Day, I'm absolutely thrilled for you and Anne, and the good karma's coming back your way, it looks.
Yeah, we're thrilled too, and we're thrilled for Anna because she has put a lot of time and effort into those two mares. They're not easy. Bakiro's got a few issues mentally, and in the Shadow's got a few issues physically, so they're just like any horse. There's a lot of effort goes into getting them to this level, and Anna's done a great job, and her team.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, well, we can't wait to see you there, you and Anne, on Jewels Day. All the best of luck, Stephen. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Jess.
Airpark Canterbury is Christchurch's only 24/7 privately owned off-site airport car parking. If you feel strongly about supporting privately owned business, support Airpark Canterbury. It's only a short drive to the airport in the Airpark Canterbury free shuttle. So if you want the cheapest parking option around, try Airpark Canterbury. Call 0800 Airpark or online at airparkcanterbury.co.nz.
There's always a park for me at Airpark Canterbury.
Well, of course, the countdown is on both sides of the Tasman for IRT Harness Jewels Day. And, of course, as usual, we do have our Australian media friends coming across to cover the action. Greg Hayes is with me. Greg, thanks so much for your time. And I guess it's the same old, but a bit different this time going to Addington.
It is, Jess. Hello. Yeah, looking forward to it. Obviously, Cambridge, and we've spent some very cold ones down south at Ashburton, but looking forward to Addington, something a bit different, and hopefully change of venue, change of result for the Aussies, and we can get an Australian trained winner home this year.
Yeah, that's been the big chat, and I know talking to the likes of Shane Tritton and Anton Galeno, they're very keen to be that first Australian trainer, but I know that you and the team at In The Gig have been frantically covering the Jewels angles, and we're very grateful for that too, and a really unique story with the Frisbee family and major occasion coming over.
Yeah, exactly right. Really interesting story. For her, they only paid 7,500 for her, and she's done a remarkable job. She was a little bit headstrong as a young horse. They sent her to Craig Turnbull because of her. She was Vic bred. She spent some time down there as a baby, and then as a 3-year-old, they took her to Queensland, and that really switched her on. She didn't win the Queensland Oaks, but she ran a cracking race, and then she just really bloomed and flourished as a 4-year-old, and ran that cracking race behind Dream About Me in the Ladyship Mile. We've always known her as a really tough mare, and she's just gone to that next level this year. So she, I think, it's fair to say, is the captain of the Australian team. I think she's clearly our best winning chance, and Chris and Anthony Frisbee, they're true blue Aussies. They train out at Bathurst. Out near where the Turnbulls live at the lagoon, and some of the earth people, great people, and it'd be great to see them get a really good result there at Jewels Day.
Yeah, and it's great to see the representation this year too, with 6 contenders at this stage confirmed and booked to head over the ditch. And I guess it's great to see, Greg, that each year we are seeing a new set of connections coming, so the word is starting to spread.
Exactly right, and now it becomes an option. You ring up trainers and ask about, what are they looking at going forward, and they'll say to you, well, we've obviously got our state breeding option. We can go Breeders' Challenge with the Breeders' Crown, but we've also got the Jewels. That's of interest to us as well. So obviously not easy to get an invitation, but there's a number of connections who have definitely thrown their hat in the ring this year, and I know that Harness Racing New Zealand were definitely inundated with interests, people showing interest to come across. So great to see 6 horses going across this year, and as I said, we're getting closer. We've seen some very close finishes, and you mentioned, I know Shane Tritton, if it's one thing he wants to do in harness racing, he wants to be the first Australian trainer to win a Jewels.
Yeah, he's been saying all the right things. He's got all the right grabs for the media too, and I'm sure he's going to be quite a formidable force come Jewels Day. Of course, the barrier draws play a lot into it, but when he produces a horse like Pete's Big Jim, almost the fairy tale ending last year, gee, if anyone deserves to take some Jewels money away from us, it's Shane and Lauren.
Exactly, and of course they had Salty Robin all those years ago as well. So Shane and Lauren obviously know what it takes
to get a horse across to New Zealand and peak it on the day. But the piece Big Tim got so close last year. There's obviously been a few little issues with the horse. They haven't been able to get him right this season, but Shane was able to take him to the trials last week at Menangle, and they got him to finish second in a very strong trial, 27.8 up the lane, and then he will trial again before coming across to New Zealand. He did run fourth in that 1:49.6 mile in the Simpson Memorial behind Muscle Factory, and he was only just beaten over 10 metres. So when he is right, he can run a blistering mile. And obviously, you know, he doesn't have to improve much on what he did as a 2-year-old behind Mark Anelli's horse last year. So nice horse when right, but the drums are beating. Shane is really bullish about Falcon Stride. I know he won a trial last week at Menangle, running home in 26.5. He's an interesting horse because he's better sat up and come with the one run, and he'll really be suited for that long straight. And he's obviously owned by Emilio and Mary Rosati, who are well known both sides of the ditch. And I know Emilio would get a bit of a buzz winning a Jewels for Australia as well. So obviously there's a nice little link there between them, between Shane and Emilio too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And of course, when you're over here, Greg, you know, the work doesn't stop. You're frantically recording for In the Gig and reporting back. Are you doing the same work this year for your fans back home?
Yeah, definitely. I've come over a couple of days before the Jewels. We'll record a story on the day before for In the Gig, and then Adam will fly in on the Friday, and then we'll get out there for Jewels Day and record a couple of segs for In the Gig on race day. And of course, if there does happen to be an Australian victory, that has to go straight back to Sky on the day, and we'll have full coverage of the day on Sky 1 and 2. So really looking forward to what should be another fantastic day of racing.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to having you guys here as well. I know it's a frantically busy time for you and the team, but once again, thanks for all of the great coverage you've given to the IRT Harness Jewels. And yeah, I'm hoping this year the Australians can at least take one home or maybe some money.
Good as gold. Thanks for that.
Airpark Canterbury is Christchurch's only 24/7 privately owned off-site airport car parking. If you feel strongly about supporting privately owned business, support Airpark Canterbury. It's only a short drive to the airport in the Airpark Canterbury free shuttle. So if you want the cheapest parking option around, try Airpark Canterbury. Call 0800 Airpark or online at airparkcanterbury.co.nz.
There's always a park for me at Airpark Canterbury.
Well, of course, as we creep ever closer to Harness Jewels Day, the workload doesn't get any lighter for the bookies. And joining me, of course, as he does every week, is Richard Wilson. Richard, of course, looking back at the week that was, and starting off with Thursday night at Cambridge, looks as though it was a quiet start, but the week wasn't going to stay that way, was it?
No, exactly. It was sort of the calm before the storm there. The best bet at Cambridge, a couple of $2,000 bets on Flying Finn at $1.55 and Turnabout at $1.70. They had a couple on them as well. Also a couple of $1,000 bets on About Turn at $1.70 and $1,000 on Need Luck to run the top three at $1.80, so that was a good one. A couple of big misses too there, $1,200 on Highview Justice at $4.60. There was $2,300 on Locksmith at $2.90 and a $2,000 bet Arty Farty at $5.
Okay, and from Cambridge we went Premier Harness Racing Addington on Friday. Of course, it was Oaks night, and yeah, the All-Stars dominating there.
Yeah, as they usually do these Premier nights. One of the best back winners for punters wasn't one of theirs though. It was Give Me What I Need, and it gave punters what they needed in big bucketfuls really. Heavily back there, $8,000 at $2.20, $1,500, $1,300 and $1,000 bets all at the $2 mark. So that one was very, very well received there. Other nice bets, $1,000 on Vintage Cheddar at $4.20, 1,500 bets on One Change at $2.10 and $2. There was $2,000 on Princess Tiffany at $2.90. And a couple of also missed there, $10,000 on Only Me at $1.70. Winterfell was plenty of late support there, $3,000 at $1.70, $5,000 and $6,000 bets at $1.65. There was $3,000 to win at $4 and $12,000 to run the top three at $1.50. That was on Grand Chico, so that one very good for punters there. And a few bets that missed the mark, $2,000 on Heisenberg at 210, 2,600 Lone Star Lad at 5, 7,000 on Muscle Mountain at 250, 6,000 on Spellbound at 2. There was 2,500 on Cheerful at 260, 2,400 and 1,300 Belle of Montana at $1.95, 5,500 on I'm Tough at 230, and $2,000 Nirvana Beach at 380.
Okay, so enough to keep you guys ticking along there in terms of the misses anyway. But Friday night, of course, we had Alexandra Park, and looks as though it was a little bit quieter there, Richard.
Yes, indeed. The focus was definitely on Addington. A couple of decent bets nonetheless. A couple of $2,500 bets on Gambit at $1.40. Justifying that quite, I don't think he moved from the $1.40. $2,000 on Tickle Me Pink at $1.20. $5,000 on 888 at $1.50. $2,000 Tiger Swift at $2.90. The bets that went astray there: $1,000 on Zeus Bromac at 8. $3,000 on the Bullpen at $1.85 and $1,000 on Ash at $6.50.
And of course, Saturday harness racing at Gore, and looks as though the punters were in good action there.
Yes, indeed. They sorted one out there. Major deal in race 5. $2,500 on at 2, $11,500 at $1.90, $2,400 at $1.60. So a lot of damage done there. Liberty Stride justified the short quote, $3,000 bets at $1.40, got home for Phil there. $250 on Tiziano at $8.50, a bit longer odds there, that was a nice profit. And also $1,000 to run the top 3 on Nottingham K2 at 2.10. Of course, Nottingham K2 won the race, so that was never in doubt. And Bunter's Dream, $1,000 to run the top 3 there too at $2.30. Some bets that didn't land: $2,000 on Rebel with a Grin at $4.80, $1,000 on Charlton Reactor at 10, $2,400 Total Diva at $1.65, $4,800 on Tulsa Jacker at $3.20. $1,500 on Full Noise at $1.60 and $1,000 also at $1.50.
Okay, and of course all eyes were at Oamaru on Sunday. It was the last chance to qualify for the Harness Jewels, and gee, we saw some tragically near misses as well. But how did the punters fare?
Yeah, the best back runner and the easiest winner turned out to be Millwood Bonnie. $6,000 on at $2.20, $1,000 at $2, $1,000 at $1.95, $2,000 and then $5,500 at $1.85 and even $1,300 at $1.80. So the punters chased her all the way in and she won by a big space. Other nice collects: a couple of $500 bets on Change is Good at $5.50. There was $4,000 on A Taste of Honey at $2.10 and $3,000 on at $2. There was $8,000 on She Can Dance in the same race to run the top 3 at $1.30 and $1,000 on Kingslayer to win at $2.70. And then Get Lucky backed up from the big win on Friday night, won the last very easily. $1,000 bets at $2.90, $2,000 at $2.80. They were all good. And Feel the Money was very heavily backed in race 5. $2,000 at $2.30, $6,000 at $2, $4,000 and $1,400 at $1.90. So Feel the Money was very well back there. Also missing out $1,000 on the Maroon Marauder at $2.60. $2,200 at $2.50, so and $1,500 at $2.40. So they backed the Maroon Marauder again. I think they've backed him every start he's had for Brad Mowbray there. $2,000 on Prince Art at $2, $2,000 on Glenthorne at $3.90. There was $4,000 to win on She Can Dance at $2.80, $5,000 on Jacket George at $7.50. There was $2,000 on Robbie Royale at $7 and $2,000 on Never Neverland at $2.70.
Yeah, so plenty of misses, and as you say, plenty on Feel the Money too, who just by that nose finishing second missed out on a Harness Jewels spot as well. So devastating for that punter and also the connections. Multi of the week, Richard, you find one of these for us each week, and what have you got this time?
Yeah, very interesting looking at these bets this week. There was a $200 three-leg multi, kicked off with Richard of York at $4.40 at the Otaki Gallops, on to One Change at $2.10 and Amazing Dream at $2.20, returned $4,065.
Okay, and cash out of the week, you've got a best and worst for us?
Yeah, the best cash out of the week here, a $50 multi at Addington, Tailored Elegance at $3.20, on to Amazing Dream at $2.40, so going pretty well. And then the last leg, Belle of Montana at $1.95, so set to return $748, but very wisely cashed out for $322 before Belle of Montana ran third.
Okay, and worst cash out of the week, gee, sometimes these ones hurt.
They do, yeah. $100 5-leg multi on Sunday. Change is good to run the top three, 160. Rock and Roll King, top three, 320. Red Harbour, top three, 260. Notabene Denario to run the top three at 165. And just one more leg to go. Get Lucky at 280. Would have returned 6,150, but was cashed out before Get Lucky strolled home, and for the amount 1,770. So still a decent return for the $100.
Yeah, a decent return, absolutely. But gee, that extra 5k would have been nice, I'm sure. And you've even gone as far, Richard, as to find us a wow multi of the week. Can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, well, this one came up when I was looking for the cash out of the week. It was actually cashed out. It's an $88 21-leg multi, believe it or not. Now they've picked every game in the NRL, every game in the Super Rugby. They took the Steel head-to-head to beat the Tactics. That's always a good way to go. And then they took some harness horses. Tickle Me Pink to run the top three, $1.05. One Change to run the top three, $1.15. Tailored Elegance, top three, $1.50. Amazing Dream, top three, $1.15. Bella Montana, top three, $1.20. And the Moonshadow to run the top three at $1.26. So the $88 was set to, they're all point starts, so they're all pretty safe point starts, really, when you look at them. Set to return 2021, but was cashed out for $1,674 before the Sharks game, I think it was, on Sunday. So, but all 21 selections that this punter had came in. So he's got a great crystal ball or something there, but yeah, very good work. 21 league model. I've never seen that before.
That is outstanding, and I guess the hardest thing, aside from picking them all, would be keeping track of it, because it looks like a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, well, it's 3 or 4 days of keeping up with things. The bet that keep on giving, but just looking at those place bets at the harness, I mean, most of them won. So that end figure could have been what you've instead swap out the $1.05 and the $1.15 for $1.50, 60, 80, or whatever they were. That end profit would have skyrocketed.
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely outstanding, a 21 leg multi. And of course, Harness Jewels wise, IRT Harness Jewels, we've got the final field and barrier draws coming out on Friday, but I'd say there's been a bit of moving in those markets.
There has been a bit of moving, and I think the actual betting has slowed down a little bit. I think punters now just want to find out who's actually in the races and, more importantly, what they've drawn, I think, before they have a real decent bet now. But the movers, Tailored Elegance is now the $2.50 favourite for the 2-year-old Ruby, and the other mover, Princess Tiffany, back into favourite for the 3-year-old Diamond at $1.75 after the Oaks win. And one of the biggest movers, Tickle Me Pink, and the 3-year-old Ruby. She opened at $21, Jess, now the $3.50 second favourite, or I think I might have even gone $3.40. There's a $1,000 bet there at 21, so that punter will be keeping a close eye on Tickle Me Pink. And a $450 bet on One Apollo in the same race at 31. So a couple of specked outside the top runners there, but we're just waiting for those final list of horses that are actually going to start, I think. Yeah,
tab.co.nz punters, if you want to check out those futures markets before the final field. And a busy week ahead for you and the team, Richard.
Yeah, we've got Manawatu today and Thursday, Addington and Auckland on Friday, Invercargill Saturday, and Rangiora on Sunday. Not too many feature races, just sort of the calm, once again, the calm before the storm in a couple of weeks' time.
Yep. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. Gee, you've got through plenty for us today, Richard, before we get into the Manawatu action, so appreciate that, and next week we might delve deep into those Jewels markets.
Yep, certainly should. And there's only really one mover at Palms North today, race 6, number 3, Notorious. Opened at 12 into 8.50. That's the only real move at Palms North today.
Perfect. Loving your work. Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you very much.
And in coming up this week, harness racing wise, we start off today, Tuesday, when this podcast is released. We've got Manawatu Day 1. On Thursday night, we'll have Night 2 of the meeting for Manawatu. Friday night, we've got 2 big meetings, Auckland and also Addington will hold their meetings in their respective tracks. Saturday, Invercargill will compete down in Southend. And on Sunday, Rangiora will hold their winter meeting. It is the Pink Ribbon High Tea meeting. So if you're wanting to support breast cancer and also be able to contribute to the cause and win some amazing prizes, then make sure you check out the Rangiora Harness Racing Club Facebook page for the latest information on those tickets, and all support is much appreciated. And that's it for this week's Harness Half Hour. Thanks to Airpark Canterbury and HRNZ Marketing. Don't forget the Harness Half Hour podcast is available through the HRNZ website, the HRNZ Facebook page, on the Punters Lounge, which is on tab.co.nz, via Spotify and also iTunes. We'll catch you next week.